Studio Series. Like it or hate it, Studio Series, you do have to admit, is one of the most impressive lines. A big portion of their figures managed to get the movie designs accurately. Of course, you've had some flops or just plain laziness. Like, for example, Studio Series Crankcase, which was obviously just a crowbar repaint where they could have just, I don't know, reworked Berserker. Like, you could have used the Berserker toy from the last night and do some edits with it. You didn't have to be lazy. And Studio Series was praised. It was a very good line. Even some people who didn't like the Michael Bay designs did actually kind of fall in love with the designs, like Comic Cam, for example, or at least say that they did a good job adapting the designs into toy figure very accurately. And then 86 came out. Yeah, for someone who actually liked the 86 movie, even though growing up in the early 2000s, I was actually okay with this. And I liked the idea of just doing more than the Michael Bay movies and Bumblebee. Of course, some people complain that they're G1ifying Studio Series, and I can understand that. Personally, I'm kind of getting sick of G1 too. Of course, I haven't got to the point where I see everything G1 and I want to smash it. Mostly why I've become this way is because of the recent treatments with, like, the Prime characters. And I know some people are going to be like, oh, but the designs are so complicated. Well, that's false, because let me explain why. First, look at all the modern figures that have been coming out. Like, look at Override, which was based off of the character from Transformers Cybertron. If you compare the two, both the toy and the character from the show, they actually got that character very much right. Oh, let's bring another example. How about Armada Starscream? Look at that design. Of course, the Star Saber is a little bit off, but still look at it. And yes, I know it's not the winged sword, but still. Oh, let's bring up another good point. The Transformers Prime toys were, well, a lot of them, were very accurate to their show counterparts. Not completely accurate, but very close. And then also, let's not forget, Studio Series made a big portion of the Michael Bay designs into toy form. And those are the most complex Transformers designs ever. So I don't want to hear it. Like, I would have been fine with Bulkhead looking the way he does if it was a version from, like, G1. I would be completely okay with it, but the fact they call it Prime just makes me mad. And of course, I know they want to G1ify characters from other universes. Personally, I'm not for that, and I have heard some people say the designs are too complex. Who knows, maybe I'll do a complaint about Legacy one of these days, which I don't completely hate Legacy. Like, I got recently the Transformers Legacy Buzzsaw, and I actually enjoy the figure. And there's a couple other Legacy figures I want to get. It's just, my problem is that they're G1ifying some of these characters. And I think it is very much possible to translate them into toy form. Not perfectly, but at least as close as you're going to get accurately. But why am I talking about Legacy, something that kind of makes me mad? Why do I bring up a good point? So yeah, some people are complaining that or G1ifying studio series, and that is completely fair because I do actually kind of agree, even though liking the 86 line and collecting a few of the figures, I think a way to show that they're not doing that is creating a studio series line to another Transformers movie, an animated one, by the way, Transformers Prime Predacons Rising. Now, yes, I know not everyone liked this movie. I know that. But I think there were still a lot of people who did, because I was on YouTube and I found the full movie on YouTube, and that movie on YouTube has 6.2K likes. Of course, the dislikes might be higher. This is an issue since YouTube removed the dislike count. But let's not get into that. So, my point is, I think a way to show that we're willing to do more than just G1, which I don't think is going to happen. I think Hasbro is going to keep G1ifying everything as much as they can. I might do a video explaining what the problem is with all this G1 stuff. I might. Maybe. Anyway, I think a way to show people that it's not just G1ifying everything is making a studio series line of Transformers Prime, Predacons Rising. Because, think about it, a Predacons Rising studio series line, and also possibility of updated Transformers figures for Transformers Prime. It sounds genius. But granted, that's just me. So for this video, I'm going to do each thing. I'm going to mention each figure, their accessories, their backgrounds, and waves, just in case if this line does successfully well. So let's begin with Wave 1. The first figure that I think they should have for the announcement is Predacons Rising Bumblebee. And Bumblebee would be the Transformers Prime model, but with his black and yellow paint job, and his background or his banner would be where he gets knighted with the giant Megatron statue. Now, I think this is a really good idea, but that's just me. And accessories, maybe Bumblebee's blasters, and maybe some blast effects. And also, how about Knockout's finish machine? Yeah, that would be a funny reference. Speaking of the next one, I think the next figure should be Knockout. And give us a chance to get a better looking Knockout. Because I think we can all admit the Knockout figure in Transformers Prime kinda sucks. And I know it is kind of a hard design to translate, but again, Michael Bay movies. Maybe you can do what you did with Studio Series Dino. Of course, try not to make it a shell figure as much as you can, which I think is possible if you push your limits. I'm not saying like masterpiece limits, because we couldn't afford that unless we're millionaires. But I think it's possible. But who knows, I could be wrong. These are just ideas. And for his accessories, I think his accessories should be his arm saw. Another one I think he should have is the immobilizer. Yes, technically that should have been given to Bumblebee, but I just thought of that right now. And it sounds cool. His background, I think, should be the Warship prison cell. And also, the next Studio Series figure for this line should be a Viacon. It doesn't matter if it's a car, a plane, or even both in the same pack, just to give us an updated Viacon, because it's been so long. Maybe the accessories can be some handcuffs and their blasters, and same background. Anyway, let's get into the next figure idea, and this one I like the most for the ideas. It is Studio Series Prime Wheeljack. So, yeah, a good example of how close the designs of the toys were to the show is definitely Transformers Prime Wheeljack. Because, look at this. It's so close. Of course, there are some off things about it. One of the things being his swords. Now, what would I propose to fix this figure, even if they used the same mold? Well, I would say what we should do is we should have the Prime design and give him his swords, but paint the handles red. And before you go oh, but D, that's such a cheap out. Hear me out. I have another good idea that would make it worth it. I think Prime Wheeljack in this line should have a removable face. Kind of like how Studio Series, the Bumblebee movie, Bumblebee has, with his battle mask and his ordinary face. But the difference between this, we would get Wheeljack's face covering, and also one without his face covering, with him maybe smiling or growling or something like that. And his last two accessories he should have is one of his grenades, which, thanks to Legacy Red Cog, which, yes, it's a pointless figure, gave us the grenade. Maybe make it a bit smaller, maybe, but that's just a nitpick. And also, I think he should also have a detonator. And the background. I think it should be inside of the Skyhammer, or whatever Wheeljack's ship is called in Transformers Prime. I think it should be in the inside of his ship, if it's the part where he sits at in the movie, or if it's just a big open space in the Jackhammer. I think that would be perfect. The next figure I think we should get out of this line, especially in this first wave, is Studio Series Transformers Prime Predacons Rising Skylynx. Now, Skylynx is definitely one of the best characters about this movie. And I did say that Prime did have a lot of good figures, but as someone who grew up with the Prime Skylynx, the figure sucks. It's not a bad looking figure, but if you look at Skylynx in the movie and the toy, it sucks. It honestly should have been a whole new character, which is not uncommon for the Transformers Prime toy line, so I don't understand why they didn't do it. And accessories. He wouldn't really have any, unless if you wanted to give him a giant bone or something like that, from the pit where all the Predacons died, but that's optional. Background, I think it should be where Darksteel and Skylynx face off Ultra Magnus and Smokescreen. Speaking of that, I think the next figure should be Transformers Prime Ultra Magnus. Now, yes, I know you people are going to be oh, but that's going to be kind of hard because of the design, the hand, which the hand is completely understandable, but I have a solution because I am that smart. Ultra Magnus would get 2 accessories. He would get his blaster and also his hand from the last couple episodes of Transformers Prime. And having it be plugged in to a little hole. So the Ultra Magnus figure, when you would get it, would be Ultra Magnus with 1 normal hand and not having a hand at all, where you would insert the hand ratchet fixed up for him in near the end of Transformers Prime. Yes, this is kind of parts forming, but I think this is the best way to do it. Who knows, maybe even have the other hand separable too, so then you can plug in his blaster. Now, yes, we do have a very accurate Transformers Prime Ultra Magnus toy, which I do have. And it's a cool figure, but it would be nice to get an updated Ultra Magnus figure. So yeah, and I think that should be the first wave of Transformers Prime Predacons Rising figures. Not much, but it will do. Okay, the first figure they should do for Transformers Prime Predacons Rising is Darksteel. Darksteel, even owning now the figure, the original, I will say it's not a bad figure, and it's not completely inaccurate to the design. Of course, there are some small problems with the figure, like if you compare it to the one in the movie, the colors are definitely off. I would say even if you take the Skylink's mold and just repaint it, and also switch out the head so it's more accurate to the movie, which Studio Series has been doing a really good job at that, both the 86 line and the movies. They've been doing a really good job. And accessories, how about a cube of Energon? To be honest, because there are tons of cube Energons when they arrived in the movie, into Shockwave's lab. I think that would be nice. Maybe 1 or 2 of them, to be honest, because I think people would actually like to have that as an accessory. I certainly would. And I don't think I'm the only one who would mind having that as an accessory. Also, maybe another Predacon bone. Maybe. Yeah, it's kind of lazy, but gotta think of something for the accessories, because that's what Studio Series comes with. Alright, speaking of Shockwave's lab, I think one of the most important characters you need to have in this line for the second wave of this, if this became a success, is the mad scientist himself, Shockwave. And of course, you could use the mold of the Prime toy, but maybe update the paint a bit, where it's maybe like the shiny purple he is in the show and the movie. And his accessories, definitely an Energon cube, maybe a little skull of a Predacon or something like that, or maybe that bone he was experimenting on. Yes, another bone. Let me finish. And maybe this is a little bit too much, a tank with a Predacon skeleton. You know, like one of his experiments from Transformers Prime. I think that would be a very nice accessory. And of course, his background would be the lab, because Shockwave's lab. Anyway, the next figure, and this is going to be the biggest one, and I think this should be a leader class, is Transformers Predacons Rising Megatron. Or Unicron, should we say. Now, this design we never really got a toy for. Not that I'm aware of. I think there was like a small little Cyberverse figure that was very inaccurate. And I think there would be people who would actually kind of want this design. And, of course, you would probably have to use the Transformers Prime Megatron, but make some modifications, which completely okay with that. Or if Hasbro was willing to do it, maybe make a whole new mold that will work, which I wouldn't mind that either. And accessories. Oh, I have a lot of accessories planned for this mad villain. First would be his Dark Energon cannons. He would come with 2. And maybe have the hands pop out or something like that. Or make the cannon split into 2 parts, both of them, and then connect them to a certain spot. You know, I like that idea better. Unicron's Dark Energon Scythes. Or Psy. I can't remember what these things are called. Now that would be a nice accessory to have for both hands. And another accessory, just plain Dark Energon energy for when he's like bringing the Predacons to life, just like the movie. Maybe even add some lightning, some cool effects. And maybe, and this is probably milking it a bit, if Hasbro was willing to and wanted a lot of money, maybe a zombie Predacon. I think this would be cool, but it might be a little much, and I'll explain why. And what would his background be? I think the background would be Predaking's domain at nighttime, where like Unicron rises them from the dead. I think that would be the perfect background for this mad titan. And on to the next figure. Speaking of crazed Predacons, I think the next leader should be Predaking. Now, yes, we have had some Predaking toys, and they're not terrible. I think they definitely need an update, because they're not completely accurate. Now, Predaking might be a little bit harder, since he is a very tall guy. So, what would I suggest for, like, maybe his head or his wings? I say, and this is gonna make some people mad, but I think what we should do for that is having both the wings and the head as removable parts. I would say more of the head should be, unless if Hasbro or somebody thinks of some cool way to keep the head without removing it. How I would suggest doing it is for the Predaking head being removable, kind of like the Sharktacon from the 86 line. And just looking at his design again, I think you should also make the horns a removable piece. Because, well, like on his shoulders, because, yeah, that might be hard to fit in the packaging. And I have no problem with that. I don't think that's that big of a deal, but that's just me. And for his accessories, let's see. Definitely the horns and the dragon head. I think his blaster should also be a part of his accessories, and some flame effects. Yes, you can use the flame effects from the Last Night Megatron / Dragon Megatron that's coming up in the newest Legacy line next year. So yeah, not a lot of figures. Of course, you probably could use one of the old Predacons models. Maybe just change the head, I would say, to a more show accurate, because it's not very accurate from like the images I'm looking at right now. And yes, I brought my receipts because I know what I'm talking about. It's not very accurate, and also giant light piping on this figure I'm seeing right here. And backgrounds. I think it should be Predacons domain with all like the skeletons of the fallen Predacons. But of course, between the difference between the Unicron Megatron one and the Predacon one, Predacons should be on the day, and Unicron Megatron should be at night. Having the two different backgrounds at the same place, but one at the day and one at the night, to mimic the scenes they first show up in. Or you could technically, another suggestion is where Predacon faces off Unicron Megatron before he gets his butt kicked. So yeah, the next figure on the idea block is, of course, Bulkhead. So yes, this is a bit of a controversial one because of Legacy, but let's not get into that again. So Bulkhead, I would say probably use the Prime one, but update the colors, maybe fix some tweaks about it. Still don't want to hear I think we should get is a updated Transformers Prime RC. Now, this one is another one they say it's not possible to translate the design. Prime toy. Got it very accurately. Actually, two that were actually pretty good. Of course, the upscale version is a bit off, but it's still pretty good. And also, again, Studio Series pulled off the Bayformers designs. So, yeah. Continuing on, RC. What do I think RC should come with? Maybe her blasters and her swords. Because, come on, we definitely need her blasters. That was something that never came with the original Transformers Prime RC. I remember when those figures were still in your typical Walmart. And I remember seeing that specific figure, and she did not have her blasters at all. As proof, here's the toy. So yeah, here's the upscale version, and here's the downscale version. Not even the Legacy line could at least give her her blasters. Come on, Hasbro. What's wrong with you? One thing you could have gotten right with this figure, even though I don't think it's the worst out of the Legacy Prime figures, but that's just me. How about one more figure, and then we go on the next line. Next wave. Then I think the last one for wave 2 should be Transformers Prime Smokescreen from Predacons Rising. I'm sorry, I'm getting it confused with Rise of the Beasts, a film that hasn't even come out yet. But yes, I think we should get a new Smokescreen figure. Now, I own the Predacons Rising version. Well, the Predacons, the Hunt for the Predacons, or whatever Season 3 was called. I own that figure because of my brother generously giving it to me because he knows he's never going to play with Transformers again. Because of him, I do have this pretty good figure. Not completely accurate, but pretty good. But the thing is, we never really got Smokescreen in his Transformers Prime Season 3 colors. Now, yes, there was a Cyberverse figure that did do this, but not a bigger figure. And what would I do for accessories? maybe for his accessories, I would give him two things. First, I would give him the immobilizer, and I think I would also give him his phase shifter, because that is pretty much his signature weapon throughout that whole show. When he shows up, the first episode, he uses it as his signature weapon. Like, even when he so-called loses it, he managed to somehow slip by the Decepticons and grab it all over again. So yeah, it's a signature weapon. So yeah, I think we should definitely get that as a toy, like a small accessory. Maybe Smokescreen's blaster as well. And yeah, that's pretty much it for accessories. What would I choose for the background? I would say we should choose when he faces Skylynx and Darksteel. Like the shot where he's on that mountain. I think that would be a perfect background for it. But that's just me. Alright, I think I gave Wave 2 plenty of figures, so let's get into Wave 3. I think Wave 3 should start off with Ratchet. Now, Ratchet, remembering right, did get a very accurate toy. Now, let me just pull it up here. Yeah, that's a pretty accurate. I did look at some comparisons between the show just now and the toy. Definitely give him more paint to look like the show. I think that would be pretty easy to do. Like, just rebrand the toy, give him a better paint job, and give him some slight alterations so people don't think that you just sent the exact same toy from a long time ago and didn't give it anything new, which, to be honest, I don't think people would really care that much, because they're like, oh, thank goodness, a Prime toy. But who knows, I could be wrong. But yeah, his accessories, I would say definitely his swords. That would definitely be one thing to give Ratchet, because that's what Ratchet's signature weapon is his swords. Another thing that you should give Ratchet is maybe a medical bay, which is the perfect size for Sentinel, and you can have a bit of a playset gimmick with the Studio Series figure, and maybe a monitor, maybe, but that might be milking it too much. And background, because I think I've been forgetting a few backgrounds. Ratchet, I think, should be the medical center he is taking care of Ultra Magnus with. I think that would be the perfect background. Maybe getting some more into the Decepticon warship. Or who knows, maybe even the computer panel where they try contacting Optimus Prime. Maybe. We'll see. The next figure we should have is definitely Predacons Rising Starscream. Now, Starscream should actually be easy to translate. Starscream. Let's look at his toy. Okay, maybe the Starscream toy would be a bit tricky to do. So if the figure's not perfect, I think that's a bit fine as long as you try. Like, maybe use the same mold, but maybe fix the arms a bit. Weapons, or should I say as accessories, definitely the missiles. The missiles are very important, because that's one of his signature weapons is his wrist missiles. Like, use the trigger finger to fire the missiles. Another accessory, Starscream's big gun hand thing, because that would be pretty impressive to see in the toy. Another thing we should get from Starscream is the rod that He uses the tase, Darksteel, and Skylinks, also slash Predaking. And maybe, and you're gonna hate me for saying this, a Predacon bone. And what should his background be? I think it should also be Shockwave's lab, because Shockwave's lab, that's one of the places he was actually in. Or maybe another dark Predaking's place. I can't remember what I said. The next couple of figures we should get, and this is a bit milking it, but it's not the first time Hasbro has done it. They've been kind of doing this with the Junkions, or at least right now. You never know. They're going to add like 4 more Junkions on. We already have 2 already, Rekgar and this guy that I don't even know. So I think as a bit of a filler to the line should definitely be, and I don't think people would actually hate this idea, is the zombie Predacons. Now, this is what I was talking about, maybe it going a little bit overboard. Because I had this idea, like, how about zombie Predacons as toys? Because, like, we never really got those toys, to be honest. We only got the Predacons from the movie, and also Predacons that were never in the show or the movie, which wasted potential. They actually could have brought some of those Predacons from those toys, like Laserback or Ripclaw, and maybe Abominus. Maybe I'm not finding a lot of the. I thought there were a lot more for the Predacon toys, but I guess I'm wrong. That's not the first time. So yeah, I think zombie Predacons would actually be cool to have as toys. And Hasbro can choose if they want them to transform or not. I don't care if they don't transform or if they do transform. I will admit it would be cool to actually see what they could look like if they could transform. It would be cool. But if it's not possible and we still want to make an accurate toy, I'd say we shouldn't have them transform. Like, a couple of these Predacon zombies, like, let's say have 4 types of regular size zombies, and then just the one Predacon zombie that Unicron Megatron rides, and that should be good for the zombies. And all their backgrounds, I think 2 should be the scene where they're like marching to the core of Cybertron, and then I think also 2 of them should be in, of course, where they're arriving to the core, like the tunnel down. Like maybe even one where you actually get to see the core of Cybertron. That would be cool. And definitely the last figure, because we are out of characters already. Unless I'm forgetting somebody, which I don't think I am, is Transformers Predacons Rising Optimus Prime. Now, the Prime toy is actually pretty accurate. Beast Hunters, that's what it was. Let me look at the toy. Now, there were 2 versions of the Optimus Prime toy. I owned one of them. First was the Transformers Beast Hunters Optimus Prime, what was it called? Dragon Assault toy. I owned this one, and I owned it for a very long time. I recently got rid of it because the figure kind of sucks with posing, to be honest, and it's just very hard to move. Like, when looking at like the poses of the figure on the box right now, it doesn't look that good. So yeah, you could see why I got rid of it. There was also this other toy that was actually not too bad with replicating the design of the toy, even got the jetpack. Now, what would I offer for this toy? I definitely think you should use the model, but change some things about it. Like, you should definitely update the colors. Make the chest openable, because that would be cool. And maybe give him a switchable face too, like Wheeljack. Like, maybe one face, it's his mask, like the signature thing he's known for having, and a normal face with just his mouth. I think that would be the best choice. For accessories, definitely we should get his machine gun. Like the machine gun Optimus Prime has in the final season of Transformers Prime / this movie, to finally get that design. I think we should also get the Allspark. Like, 2 of them, or at least one with switchable pieces. But that's just me. So, what I have an idea for this Allspark is, it would look like the Allspark from the show, but it would have 2 pull-out pieces. One would be blue, and one would be dark energon. The blue resembling the Allspark, and then the dark energon color for when Unicron is trapped in the Allspark. And who knows, maybe even give it a locking mechanism. Like, maybe you can like pull off the lid. One, it's just clear. The second one has the light, and then the third one has the dark energon. I think that would be pretty cool. Also, have his wings separable, unless if you can manage to keep the wings to the figure. And also his blaster, that would be cool, his hand blaster. And what should definitely be the background for this? I think it should be at the final moment where Unicron and Optimus Prime fight each other, or a sad moment where Optimus Prime's going to sacrifice himself to go into the core. Oh yeah, also add the Matrix. That's why I added the openable chest, so then we get a Transformers Prime Matrix, because all we've been getting for the Matrix lately is just G1. I got a Matrix at last because of 86 Hot Rod. Surprisingly, we haven't had one for the Bayverse yet in Studio Series. And yeah, that's pretty much it. If you want to do some battle packs, because they do like doing this, mostly this has been for the Bumblebee line. Like the Bumblebee, what's it called? That Bumblebee line where they just pull a bunch of random Bumblebee figures and resell them because War for Cybertron forgot Bumblebee. Maybe do that if you want to, or the anniversary pack of the first Transformers movie. Some packs. Definitely one pack, if you do this, is definitely Megatron and Unicron, Megatron, and Optimus Prime. That would be pretty cool. Also, as a funny reference to one of the parts of the ending of the movie, there should be a battle pack with Starscream, Skylynx, Darksteel, and Predaking, and their background is the throne room. I think that would be perfect. And maybe a Viacon pack. Maybe it's on the bridge where they're trying to overthrow the Autobots. Maybe include a Starscream if you want. So yeah, that's why I think they should make a Studio Series Predacons Rising toy line. Now, I know not everyone's going to be for this idea, but I honestly think it would be a refresh. Like just to get something new that isn't G1. And I know not everyone's going to be for this idea, but I honestly think it would be a refresh. Like just to get something new that isn't G1. And also, the Bay First is not gonna last that long for figures, unless they remaster some of the figures they did awfully on, or bring obscure characters, which I could see that, which that would actually be pretty good. Make Loader. Anyway, so what do you think of my picks for the Transformers Prime Studio Series line? Do you like them? Do you hate them? Do you have some suggestions that could improve my ideas? Tell me in the comments. And if you like today's video, make sure to please subscribe, like this video, and hit notifications so you get notified with every video that I make, because notifications is a big issue on YouTube. And also, if you follow this channel, please make sure you're still subscribed. YouTube has issues. Anyway, with that out of the way, I hope you enjoyed the video. Have a nice day, everyone.